What are we talking about?
So you'll find out.
We got cats?
It should involve cats.
Yes,
Okay,
cats
good.
probably are
That's a
topic
good start.
Is that a good start?
It's a start.
All right, here we go.
Really,
We might get in trouble with
really
Bruce.
well.
Sorry for saying Sorry Media presents the Purr Podcast, the best podcast for feline medicine and surgery with tips, tricks, and updates for the entire veterinary healthcare team. If you're dying to know more about cats, keep on listening. Here are your hosts, Dr. Susan Little, famous cat vet and textbook author, and Dr. Yola Kerpenstein, talented surgeon and social media geek.
Hello, this is Dr. Yola Kerpenstein.
And this is Dr. Susan Little.
And we are back. And as a matter of fact, I'm really excited because in this podcast we can say where we are because our guest is very special. And where are we, Susan?
So normally I'm not allowed to say where we are because, you know, the podcast gets posted later on, and then people are like, really? You're still in New York? It's like, no.
No, we're not. Are you still eating oysters in New York?
Yeah, we're still eating oysters in New York. So so this is great. It makes it easy for me. So we are at VMX 2019 in Orlando.
Wow. That'll be $5,000, please. Sponsorship
Yes,
fee.
exactly.
There you go.
So, and we're promoting VMX 2019 and then 2020 because we have a wonderful guest. And what's your name?
My name is Tom Bohn. I am the CEO of NAVC. Thank you both so very much for having me on. I've heard your podcast before, and
that's a bonus, really.
Yes, it is. It's a bonus.
Because most people who come on have never heard
No,
the podcast.
I have. I follow
bonus.
Yola on social media, and he posts them, and I do listen. And
okay, you get a point for that.
Thank you. Good.
1 point, 10 points for me.
Okay,
That's
you're
11.
feeling generous.
Yep. Right, here you go.
Thank
you.
And I hear you're from Sweden.
I am from Sweden originally. I grew up right on the coast of Sweden.
I hear the accent.
The northern coast.
There is no northern
coast. There's not.
No.
Yeah, that explains why my early days were so troubling.
Yeah, so we have to explain this to our faithful listeners that Tom always thinks I'm from Sweden. So, although Amsterdam may be the capital of Sweden, but so he gets confused. And so
it's an ongoing joke that Yola is in fact Swedish.
I love that. I'm going to adopt that now.
And the best part of the joke is that whenever I am referring to this on social media, people continually ping us and go, "He's not Swedish. He's not Swedish." And I just laugh because it's a running gag.
That's called engagement on social media.
The best thing was, I don't know what we did, but I got a call and I said, are you from Sweden? I thought you were from Holland. You're not from Sweden, are you? And I said, yeah, it works.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I have to tell this story. I know I've told this in a previous podcast, but I'm going to tell it again because it's worth telling. Okay. So this happened last night, and it may have been in a bar or not.
Okay.
I'm just saying it could have been in a bar.
No judgment.
No judgment, right? It could have been. And so a group of us are there with Yola. And a friend of mine is talking to Yola and asks you where you're from. And Yola, with a completely straight face, as only Yola can do, says Kansas. Yeah,
love it.
Yeah. And the look of disbelief on the other person's face, like it's not.
Well, you are from Kansas,
Kansas.
It's not a Kansas accent. You can just see in their head.
Oh, it's not?
Not a Kansas. No,
it's Swedish.
No, there's a very small part of Kansas that talks like this.
Yeah.
I think the time stood still there, and when the Dutch emigrated, that caravan, the big with all the, whatever you call them, and killing the bison and that sort of things, they got stuck in the mud there.
The Dahmer family.
Yeah.
They ate themselves.
This is revisionist history.
Oh, wait, no, that's not the one.
Revisionist history.
So that's more German.
Dahmer, party of two.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Sorry.
I have a friend for dinner. That was exactly. But no, seriously, so that little subculture of Dutch people got stuck there in the mud, and so.
And there they are.
Here we are.
And there they are.
Which really pretty much describes the entire Dutch experience, right?
Yeah. Well, we were
after
talking,
the fall of the empire.
Yeah,
they've been kind of stuck in the mud.
We were talking about that. Yep.
Yeah. So, but we're here.
So we're interested in your journey from Sweden to NAVC.
Yeah.
How did the young lad in Sweden make his way?
Yes. Well,
He's still very young.
I jumped on a fishing boat.
Indeed, as one
full
does.
of Swedish fish.
As one does.
Yes. Came to the States, and my dream as a young boy was to one day lead a veterinary association.
As young boys do.
Yeah, a Swedish fishing boat. Yeah. We fished for Swedish fish.
Indeed.
That's where else do you get them?
Right.
Where else do you get them?
Where else do they come from? Somebody has to fish for them.
And actually now they're starting to have all types of restrictions in Europe because they're overfished.
Yeah, the fish.
And trollers and you know the deal.
And trade restrictions.
But I've been now, this is just over 6 years that I've been with NAVC. So I always tell everyone it feels like 6 minutes underwater.
And I think it's amazing that you're here because we are at VMX. I know how extremely busy you are, and so it's fantastic to have you here.
Thank you.
And I want to put
here.
a plug out for VMX because I think you have revolutionized meeting space and anything what
set
you
the
do.
bar and then continue to set the bar, actually.
So every year there's something different, and every year I'm impressed by, oh my God, he's doing this again.
Yeah. Well, it's not me. I thank you first, but it is truly...
It takes a village.
Yeah, we have an incredible team that is very willing to take risks and to fail, and there are times when we fail spectacularly, but that's okay. We allow that. I think that's the only way that you can get better at what we do.
And grow.
And learn. And
I remember you invited me once as a speaker, and once, never again.
Well, no one understood you, so it was very difficult.
It's a Swedish accent.
By the time I got a translator and all the costs sunk into it, was just, we had to get a sponsorship.
Really? He was just too expensive. Too expensive.
Yeah. But it's and it's funny, and I appreciate what you all are doing here because the whole feline thing is becoming a bigger and bigger part of VMX, and more folks are interested. The human-animal bond aspect of it, the ability to keep cats in smaller apartments, and particularly in metro areas, and the connectivity, and it's really cool to kind of see that whole part of it grow. Because really, I always used to make this joke: if it wasn't for dogs, there wouldn't be veterinarians, right? But I think that's changing quite a bit now, and that's great. I unfortunately am deadly allergic to cats. Not deadly. I mean, I won't die, literally. But I start to wheeze and everything. So I'm still trying to find that cat because I love animals. I love all types of animals. I still would love to find that cat that doesn't create
the hypoallergenic cat.
Yeah, is there such a thing
you're
for the
allergic
layman?
Too.
I'm allergic too, but I'm also really allergic for dogs, and just me being forced with dogs, it's not as bad as cats.
Okay.
So I think you can get kind of over it, but I'm allergic to anything, so I'm allergic to dust, and it doesn't matter. So I either have to euthanize myself to be rid of allergies or just deal with it.
It's hard, and I truly, you want to pet, you want to be with cats, and it just takes a couple minutes for me to. And I see that with a lot of people. It happens a lot more. Have there been studies on whether or not people are more allergic to cats versus dogs? Do we know that?
So I don't know the answer to that. I do know that there is a certain antigen in the saliva. So what you're allergic to, people often think it's the fur, but you're allergic to saliva.
Okay.
So there's a protein in saliva. And the reason you think it's fur, of course, is because cats lick themselves. So the protein gets on their fur.
And what's the name of the protein?
I don't remember the name of the protein, of course.
We'll look it up. We'll put it in the little bylines.
We'll put it in the notes. But that's actually what it is. It's very
fact,
specific, right? On the dog side, of course, because I can spell dog, but that's all I know about dogs. I don't know the answer to your question.
Now, do you have dogs?
Oh, you're going to out me. Yeah. So I've recently become accepting of the fact that I can raise my hand and say, I own 2 dogs.
Okay.
Only recently have I admitted.
You should have a menagerie.
Well,
can I tell you a really quick funny story that I think, and you tell me if this boggles your mind. So I was just at a meeting, and one of the folks came up to me and said, "Hey, I need to share something. I want to complain." And I was going to do it anonymously, they told me, which is funny in and of itself. But that's neither here nor there. And they said, at these meetings we're having, for this group, and I won't say the group because it'll out everyone. They said these 2 people keep bringing their dog with them, and it's so annoying. This is a whole group of veterinarians.
And they're annoyed.
They're annoyed by the dog. And I sat back and I'm listening to this and I'm thinking,
how does one respond to that?
how did we get right? Yeah. And what do I say to that?
What did you say?
I said, well, I said, they asked, and we said, sure, it would be okay.
Yeah.
Frankly, it was an incredibly calming factor to the meetings, because there were some very difficult conversations we had to have.
They can change the tone of a meeting.
And truly did.
Yeah.
And, I just am surprised that even amongst this world, there are people who just don't like,
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
So it's weird.
Yeah.
So, but you were saying, I'm sorry, you're outed now as a dog person.
Yes, I own 2 dogs, and so I actually even put pictures of them in my lectures now. For a long time, I hid the fact that, because I'm the cat person, right?
Right.
So I've recently, learned to be brave and say, I have 2 dogs too.
So how many cats?
So
no, that'd be great if you go, no, I don't have any.
No, she doesn't.
No, really?
Well, I can say whatever I want because who's going to check?
You're going to edit it out anyway.
I will.
I mean, really.
You really don't have any cats?
I have 3.
Oh, okay, all right.
But they live in the clinics.
Yeah.
They live in the clinics. They don't live with I'm a little afraid to mix them with the dogs.
So they're for scientific purposes.
Indeed. Indeed.
So really, if you go to the nuts and to the nuts and bolts of this thing, she owns 2 dogs, and because she has 2 dogs, she doesn't want to have cats in the house, and now they're in the clinic being experimental.
Well, they've always been in the clinic. I didn't kick them out of the house. But so here's the thing. One of our dogs, this shows you how much I know about dogs. So one of our dogs is a Catahoula Hound mix.
Yes, know it.
Yeah, see? And whenever I say that, sometimes I'll say that to a room of veterinarians and they'll go, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wish I'd known that before.
Yeah,
because she's a little like hunting driven.
Yeah. Well, I have an old English sheepdog, and he is an absolute herder. He herds the golden retriever all day long.
Oh, you mean Winston?
Winston, yes. Have you met Winston? Yeah. He has a British accent, by the
way. Why did he have... Oh,
he's an old English sheepdog.
Yeah.
He's an old English sheepdog.
From Alabama, yeah.
Right. See, but the truth is that he only uses the old English accent because he feels all the pressure that he's not a doodle. So he thinks it helps to separate him from the other breeds, right?
Accents.
Do you have old
sexy.
English sheep doodles?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. They're called sheepadoodle.
Oh my God.
Yes, there's all types of doodles, and the truth
There's
about a
all
doodle
types
is it
of
really is a
doodles.
mutt.
Yes,
let's be real.
But it's a
about
mutt
types of
doesn't
doodles.
hair. That's the thing.
Yeah,
the only
depending
reason
on
for
how
a doodle
far.
is it doesn't hair. So do we have
Doesn't shed. The word is shed.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, it
sorry.
doesn't hair.
Yeah, no,
And he wonders why we don't have him as a speaker anymore.
Swedish doesn't have a translation apparently.
This is Kansas dialect. So I just let's focus on. Do we have cats that are doodly?
Yes.
That are doodly?
Well, they're hairless.
No, that don't shed.
Hairless.
Well done. Hairless. To Tom's point, hairless.
No, but
which
also
I think is cool. I think they're cool.
Mexican naked dog or whatever it is called. Because now,
there are breeds that shed less, but I don't think any cats.
So there's no hypoallergenic cat.
I don't think
is that?
truly.
Yeah.
A
So
hairless
they've
cat. No,
genetically-
because it still has the
Still
No,
saliva,
it's the
because we've
saliva.
determined
It's
it's
not
the
the
Do you
hair.
have a
protein.
cat without saliva?
It's the HB3 protein that you identified earlier in your report.
He already knows. Yeah. But they have genetically created hypoallergenic cats, if you want to go there.
Did they?
Yeah.
Really?
Because they know
That's
the
a
protein.
Frankencat.
Indeed.
Oh, see,
so I can get one of those.
Not that I'm advocating, but I'm just saying.
You delete the protein out of the
Okay,
saliva.
so I want to tell you
They cannot eat
something.
anymore and digest anything, but they are hypoallergenic.
Well, what do I know?
And would you keep those cats in your laboratory as well?
I would probably.
right.
That's probably exactly where they'd live. That's exactly where they'd live.
All right,
yeah.
good.
So I want to tell you something that I've been meaning to tell you, and Yola will know that coming from me. This is a big thing. So one of the things that I love about NAVC or VMX now, especially compared to the past or any conference in the past. When I walk around here now, you have cat images, and I love that. And you have big cat images, you have great cat images. So
it's kind of a soapbox.
It's a soapbox. Look at it. But you got to walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah. We don't have big cat images.
You do.
Oh no, we
I'm saying.
we do.
You're looking puzzled. Like,
yeah,
what do you
no,
mean?
I'm like, I remember seeing.
There's one out
there's
there.
some big cats.
No,
I'm thinking, okay,
I'm
yes,
saying I
yes,
love that.
Yes.
Because traditionally, not just this meeting, but any meeting, that has not been the case.
But
it is my soapbox.
You know what we keep messing up though? We
What?
keep putting braciocephalic dogs.
This is
in
a whole
pictures.
hot topic.
Yeah, so we keep doing that, and we make the error time and again. And the other one is cropping ears.
Yeah, this is a whole topic.
Yes,
And if I would have known, honestly, so you learn so much in the profession. 6 years.
Yeah.
When we got our old English sheepdog, he's 9. We got his tail docked. I thought you were supposed to.
I know.
I thought you had to for their safety. Well,
Yeah.
if I would have known, I would have never done it. Now I know.
There are some lists. I think Europe is much stricter in this, and Australia too. There are lists of breeds that you probably should not promote.
Yeah.
And so, it's same for cats, by the way.
And same like the flat-faced Persians. So especially out of the UK, the British Veterinary Association has a big movement on right now.
Right.
And they will actually like call out advertisers, like a grocery store chain or whatever. They'll call them out and say, hey, look, in a polite way, but hey, look, this animal can't breathe.
Oh, I get that all the time. I get emails from people saying, hey, we just saw this from NAVC. And I'm like, damn you, marketing team.
Is that a recent thing? Is it a recent thing?
It's within the last year that's really come on strong.
I agree with
because
you.
of the new research coming out about that.
Marketing team? I thought you were responsible.
We actually have a marketing team, but you would think, and
you're the boss, Tom.
But then
you cannot.
I agree. I agree. The buck stops here, unlike the White House right now. But that's neither here nor there. Here's the thing, though: is there are breeds that look like they're brachycephalic, but they're not. Yeah. So then it gets into a little bit of a judgment type of thing, and then there are breeds who have the looks like cropped ears, but they're natural.
They're natural.
So then you get people who kind of make those types of assumptions. Yeah. You know what it is? We're very judgy,
and it's
very
judgy. It's not black and white.
It isn't black and white, but I do think it's a good thing to be mindful of.
Sure.
It really, after all, we're veterinarians. Right?
Yeah.
And so I do think we have to be mindful of the health consequences of some of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, well, look at German Shepherds. I think it's terrible to portray them with the high slope and pretend that. I mean, that's so damaging to that breed.
And I think the winner was last year. It was almost flat. Their tarsi was completely flat. It was just amazing.
So it's a lot of pitfalls in advertising, but you're doing great with the cats.
It's hard. And then the other one we get is that dog doesn't have a collar. Now, we pushed back on that because our dogs in the house don't wear collars. We call it their naked.
Okay, now I'm going to go look at the cats.
They're home naked.
Because I believe cats should have a collar
all the
and a
time.
tag. Yeah.
And I could see that. But our dogs, and especially the old English sheepdog, is eat mats if we keep it on all the time.
Sure. A lot of indoor cats, though, and so people will say to me, why does an indoor cat need a collar? But if they get outside, they don't know where they are. They have no street smarts.
Yeah.
I'm going to go look at your cat.
So
that may be the next email.
Yeah, that'll
Sorry.
be.
There's an email coming.
This episode is made possible by the generous sponsorship of the Take the Pledge Against Struvites in Pets Facebook page. Did you know there are 3 easy steps to treat bladder stones in cats with lower urinary tract signs? Step 1 is to take a radiograph, and if there is a stone present in the bladder, step 2 is to use the Minnesota Urolith app for iPhone and Android to determine the most likely type of stone. Step 3 is to treat the cat for at least 2 to 3 weeks with an appropriate diet and see if the stone gets smaller. If so, keep feeding that diet until the stone is completely gone on follow-up radiographs. If not, check compliance with the owner and look for alternative treatment options. Join veterinarians worldwide to take the pledge not to remove struvite stones by surgery anymore.
But how do you decide, for instance, topics that you want to talk about during VMX about cats?
So we have an incredibly talented program committee, and one of the segments of that is feline medicine, and there is an entire focus just on feline medicine, and they make sure they have an appropriate balance. And that type of information is then taken back to our marketing team to say, okay, image needs to be balanced among companion animal, large animal, all those types of things because they're incredibly important. I mean, I think this year our pre-conference guide that was mailed out had a cat on the front of it as opposed to.
I know, I love it.
You typically would go for the dog because that's the easy sell, but there are so many cat lovers and cat adorers, and our market is veterinarians, and hopefully they are responding to the cat practice.
I love it. So I want to ask you
before you go there. Talking about large animals, I have another present for you.
She's talking about large animals,
and that is.
Now, what are these?
I love it.
Horses.
They're
love
Swedish
it.
horses?
That is very cool.
Yes. The
Wow.
Swedish horse.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
No.
I would have never left the country.
Yeah.
If you go to a certain store that is
born and raised in Sweden, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
Did you open that?
For you. No, it's the closest one.
Thank you very much. No, did you open this born and raised in Sweden store?
Oh.
No, it's not mine. No, it's a.
I love that they're gluten free. That speaks to me.
Well, that's important.
And it's there's nothing in it. That's nice too.
Yes. So it's no non-GMO, no synthetic colors, no added high fructose corn syrup, and it's gluten free. One wonders what is in it.
That's your typical Swede. There's nothing in it. Right?
I thought these gummy things would have bone meal in it.
Yeah, that's from the fishing boats. Yeah.
There you go. It's his family heritage.
So you're eating this.
Yeah,
it's good, but they're good stuff. I mean,
it's good stuff. It tastes good.
An entire nation was born on that.
That's true.
Okay, so I have an important question for you, other than the makeup of Swedish fish. So we know that VMX is very innovative,
Yeah.
and you try stuff, and
Yep.
you're not afraid to try stuff, and
Yep.
then it doesn't work, and you go, okay, we move on.
Yep.
This year, what are you most excited about that worked, obviously? So what one thing that is new or tried or changed this year? Are you excited about? You can pick two, it's okay, but I want to know what the highlight is.
I think there are probably two things that I think were I think there were two things that elicited intense emotion.
Okay.
And I think the first one was the opening ceremony.
Yeah,
Because
which makes Yola happy. Yes.
We definitely brought the on all that, everything to the edge.
Yeah.
Whether it was the morning one or Yola's in the nighttime.
Yeah.
The opening ceremony and the opening session.
Yeah. So just remind us who the.
Yeah. So the morning session was like a late night talk show type format that I hosted. Sorry, Yola, I want to keep tapping on this. Mm-hmm. And it included Dr. K from Nat Geo Wild.
She was awesome.
Yep, she was awesome,
Yeah.
and it incled Rob Lowe and a new
was
movie.
awesome
Yep, a new movie that's coming out.
Amazing presenter.
Yep, an amazing presenter. Who's that?
You.
Oh, okay.
And a great band.
Yeah,
Great
great band. And
House
it
band.
really,
That was cool.
and we did stand-up comedy, but I think with that we definitely pushed that line really far. And so what I saw in the results so far.
Enemies.
Well, that's par for course. What I saw in the review so far is that the millennials and the Gen Xers loved it.
Yeah.
And the older generation,
what the
hell are you doing?
WTF?
Right?
Yeah.
So, but I will say that's not necessarily bad because our audience, if you look at our profile attendee, it's a 37-year-old white female. So I think from that
37-year-old
white female. So I think from that perspective, it was good. And then going into the nighttime opening ceremony with Yola and doing some fun shtick, but I have to tell you real quick because you can't make the stuff up. We looked at some of the reviews and people are just get angry sometimes. I swear one person wrote, "I'm there to see the talent. I don't want to hear Tom or Yola together or individually ever." I swear to God.
That's very specific.
Yeah. It was probably my wife.
At least
That's someone I'm thinking who
mentioned
knows
you,
both of you.
Yeah, right.
That's
But
someone you know.
I laughed and said, "Wow, that definitely elicited some
You
real
hit a
emotion
button.
there."
That's good.
I love it.
But real proud of that.
Brooke Shields.
That was with Brooke Shields. Yeah, he had a very different one. I had Rob Lowe. He had Brooke Shields. Very different conversations. His was much more emotional, I think, and then a much more emotional connectivity. Ours was really intended to be fun and kind of good natured and silly in a way, and to kind of set people out to say, hey, just enjoy it. So I look at it like this: we had almost 5,000 people in that room, and barely anyone left.
Yeah.
So I take that as a positive sign. So whether it was some of the opening jokes, I think probably definitely pushed the envelope. But you know me well enough now, Yola, to know would I do anything different, right? You have to do things that others
have to be
aren't
a little
gonna
brave.
do. You do have to be brave.
You do.
You gotta be brave.
And it's going to fail sometimes, and I'm
Sure.
okay with that. But the other thing I
Sure.
think that we're really proud of, and it actually just popped up on your screen, is Retriever,
Yeah.
which is the new jobs app.
I signed up and I posted a job.
Awesome.
I
That
did.
is great. That is great.
I did.
So Retriever is basically a dating app, if you will, a Match.com app
Yeah.
for people looking for jobs and posting jobs
People like
in
me
the
who have-
veterinary
who have a
space.
job to offer, just saying.
So what we said for the millennial set, we said we wanted to create the same type of creepiness in dating apps and bring that to the job hunting
Do you
world.
swipe it?
No, we don't swipe, but it's a really cool because you put in all the different things that you're skilled in or not skilled in and rate them, and it does go out there and say these are the ideal jobs for you.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think as it grows and as it becomes more widely used, it's a much lower cost point than anything out there in terms of the vet recruiter, who's one of the largest recruiters in the vet space.
Yes.
They just started advertising and getting involved in it, so we felt really good about that endorsement.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that
so
is
again,
good.
it's different. Will it take off? We don't know, but we're going to try.
Hopefully, it's the right feel, it's the right immediacy, it's the right in your hand thing.
It is.
Right?
It is,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
without naming names, what are the two things that you wouldn't do?
Oh yeah, that's also good.
What
to know.
wouldn't we do?
Or what would you do different
Yeah,
even?
I think we had the innovative, the practice of the future on floor. before. Didn't really get a good turnout for that. I think some of that was marketing and others. Plus, there's just so many things going on, overall. And then I think that we would probably try to have dialed in more stuff on hot topics like CBD oil and other things in different formats. Because the PowerPoint delivery and everything is one way, but I think there needed to be more roundtable type discussions on that we really need to start to bring to the table.
And talking about that, thank you for allowing us as Per Podcast to do the first ever Per Podcast live. It was full. The room.
People were out in the hallway.
It was completely full. So
we were thrilled.
Thank you. I was entirely high the whole time, so I don't know if it was good or not. But it's okay.
No, it was great. I mean, they were engaging. The support was great. The staff was great. Because I want to shout out to the staff that's here too. Is just
the tech
absolutely
support
unbelievable.
Good.
But also your staff that's there, always helpful, etc. So no, it was really good. And we were relatively late to the party, but it was well
but you guys
organized.
took a chance on us.
I know,
so speaking of not being afraid,
exactly.
Hopefully we only failed halfway, which is good. You learn.
I think
it was
a lot of fun.
Great. So and like I said, we really appreciate it. So that's wonderful. Just finalizing, because we're at 25 minutes, so we need to kind of wrap it up. What other things is the NAVC doing except for VMX?
So
you do more than that.
We do quite a bit, and actually there's a couple of exciting things coming up. So 2020 at VMX, we're going to have the first consumer-facing show that's happening consecutively with this. So we're teaming up with the WPA, the World Pet Association. They have a huge pet show each year in California, and they're helping to take that format here. So we're partnering with someone who does that, as experts in it, to make that happen. It's going to be really interesting, because the concept of it is to take the veterinary message to the consumer market.
Oh, that's perfect.
And have veterinarians giving lectures and talking in a way that it resonates with the pet parent. So we're really excited about that. Our media division is now the largest in the industry in terms of subscriptions and publications. It's really done well for us, especially Spark TV, where we do a lot of really cool stories about the faces and the people and the stories behind veterinary medicine. And we really try to look for interesting stuff and see what's happening.
That's the human part.
It's not only the human part, but it's also the celebratory part that says this is an amazing profession. We need to show that side of it.
We do.
And that's how that whole thing came about. And Spark continues to grow and continues to get incredible viewership. So we're very, very, very excited about that. But those, really kind of tightening down those areas for this next year will be our focus.
And what are you going to do for the feline population?
We have had a number of Spark stories in the feline population. Again, we try to, in everything we do in our publications, always devote X percentage of editorial space to feline versus
50?
canine. I don't think it's 50.
But
I would say about 30.
30.
Right, 30.
That's better than zero.
No, it's
So
about
we love
30.
it, so.
In fairness, let's be honest, it's still very dog centric in a lot of the things we do.
We've had discussions about that.
We don't do really much in food animal. So the next thing you would see us do a little bit is equine and some of that. But
also very needed. So
yes,
it's. But I think that's. I always bring this up during these podcast discussions. The reason we started the podcast was that we felt there was a void for feline medicine and surgery, and I'm a surgeon and Susan is a medic, so we work together to increase the general knowledge.
And hopefully an accessible format, because as you said, not everything can just be like PowerPoint anymore, right?
Yeah.
People listen and they learn and they absorb in so many different ways now.
Learning modalities are changing so quickly. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's a online video and an app. You see it on Instagram, so it's called 60 Seconds.
No.
Are you familiar with this?
No.
They tell really compelling stories in 60 seconds.
Yeah, I love it.
And it is fantastic. And I think that's the type of thing we need to start doing more of, because people get, really good information in those short types of responses.
And so different from...
I mean,
it takes
right?
It takes so much preparation to have a good 60 seconds. So it's not that you can just say, you talk 60 seconds. It needs to, that is so important.
The genius is not the fact that it's 60 seconds. The genius is in the fact that they tell the entire story with emotion in 60 seconds, which is very, very hard to do.
Yeah, it is very hard to do.
And I'll always refer to one of my favorite podcasts is Radiolab. It's about, I would say, 25, 35 minutes. It takes them 2 years to make.
Yeah.
For 25 minutes
to make that story.
So if you narrow that down to 60 seconds, I mean, it's still probably takes you a couple of months to get that done.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, 3-minute Spark videos take days and days and days of work.
How many minutes? 4 minutes.
Right, for
video
Hills.
for the opening ceremony was took 2 days.
But so you remember how much?
With
star
talent.
With star talent. But do you know how much time there was days on top of that they had to edit?
Before you guys even.
Did you see the bloopers reel?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah,
Is it good?
The bloopers reel is good.
When did that come out?
It just came out online. I'll send it to you.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's one of those social media things.
I love that.
So by the way, I think you've provided us some pretty nice outtakes that we start our podcast with.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I love that.
We always start with the outtakes.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah. I think you're no trouble. You're no problem.
Yeah.
We're good.
As a matter of fact, it's going to be easy. This one.
Good. Well, hey, I grew up listening to Howard Stern. That was my life. It shows you how juvenile my mind is, right?
So maybe we should invite him to talk about cats and see.
I wouldn't have a job, but I would.
Knowing this now, I'm feeling lucky, frankly. It could have gone so many ways. I'm feeling lucky.
Exactly.
But we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
This really busy time. And once again, congratulations on a fantastic next 2019.
And to both of you, thank you for everything you're doing for the community. It's really incredible. It is inspiring.
It comes from our passion. I don't know how inspiring we are.
You're very inspiring. And
it comes from our passion.
Yeah, and I don't know you yet as well as Yola, I hope to, but you're amazing. You're an amazing guy, Yola. I really loved getting to know you, working with you. No, he really is. He's a genuine, kind, decent, incredibly smart person, and that's rare. And I do want to say that because I think that's important to.
You're right, and I'm an extremely smart person because I recognize that.
And you hang out. You must be good.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten in the club yet. I told him that I'm on the outside.
Who to roll with.
Yeah, so he
now
posted.
You're in the club.
He posted a thing last night at Share, and I wrote my comments. I wrote, "Looks like fun." ... But I wouldn't know.
Well,
I thought you were busy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think there were those who had multiple thoughts about the Share dress-up event last night.
Okay, let's not go there. Thank you very much, and goodbye, everybody.
By the way, I've never seen a better Share than you. I have to give you credit. That was nice. Okay, I could have been Sunny. I could have been Sunny.
Very nice.
Yes, and for our podcast viewers, there are photos, and I will show them.
Yes,
all right, perfect. Yeah, we'll put a link in there. And, I'm not ashamed of anything. So thank you so much. Thanks once again.
Thank you both
for doing
Appreciate
this.
it.
And to the audience, we see you in 2 weeks.
The opinions of this podcast are those by Dr. Susan Little and Dr. Yola Kerpenstein. Veterinary medicine is a complex profession, and often there are multiple diagnostic and therapeutic options for different disease processes. If you're a pet owner with questions, please go to your local veterinarian. If you're a veterinary professional, ask your questions on our Instagram page @PerPodcast. Dr. Susan Little is a feline medicine specialist with 2 cat-only hospitals in Ottawa, Canada. She is best known as an international speaker and as the author and editor of 2 textbooks, The Cat, Clinical Medicine and Management, and August, Consultations in Feline Internal Medicine. Along with 3 cats, she also admits to owning 2 dogs, and you can follow her on social media with the handle @CatVetSusan. Dr. Yola Kerpenstein is a diplomate of the American and European College of Veterinary Surgeons and a big cat fan. His specialties range from surgical oncology and reconstruction to minimally invasive surgery. He is the author of 2 textbooks on basic and reconstructive surgery. Did you know he was allergic to cats? Yola works currently at Hills Pet Nutrition. You can follow him on social media with the handle @GVETSX.